but let's get started. Trump takes questions from reporters after announcing fighter jet contract.
To be serviced much better than it has in the past. It's been a mess.
Hasan, maybe talk about what we can do. Dude, I don't know where to begin with this because this dovetails into the Bernie AOC conversation as well. Okay? The only thing I can tell you at this stage is to protect your own, know your rights, and explain to other people, especially people that are marginalized, especially people that are, for example, could potentially be, hold on. Doors open. Okay. Dude, Murad is here, and there is so much motion happening in this house right now. My little primitive brain cannot handle the in and outs. It's just like him and his buddy are here. I think he wants to go biking or something, and it's just like, oh my God. All right. In terms of what to do, what is to be done, I think that this is the time to organize to the best of your ability and defend people in your immediate vicinity. Try to shelter them to the best of your ability from these kinds of government actions. And that's it. Like, I don't know. I don't have any real answers besides you have to organize. You have to make sure that you know your rights. You have to make sure that other people know their rights, and don't open the door for ICE agents. Like, that's it. Get to know your neighbors. Join DSA, join PSL. There are a lot of organizations out there. Try to get people to become more aware of what this administration is doing. It's a unique time, I think, for American history, where for even the past couple of decades, while things have gotten significantly worse year over year, it has never been it's never been this glaringly obvious, the erosion of civil liberties. Like, it's been a slow burn, and I think this is like the final, the logical conclusion to all of this harm. And it's understandable that people are frustrated in this moment, and I think I get the frustration that even leftists have on Twitter, even people in my community have with AOC and Bernie, which are now throwing these rallies together. And I've thought about that as well. I've thought about like what they can do, what they must do. If all of these rallies and if all of this awareness campaign is simply to just like sheepdog people back into the Democratic Party without the Democratic Party being genuinely changed, like structurally changed in its entirety, in its direction, in its focus, in its policy-making capabilities, and in the ways that the Democrats actually fight back against the Trump administration, unless the Democratic Party is drastically changed and restructured to have a bold, dare I say, radical vision of change that they follow through on, where the AOCs and the Bernie Sanderses of the Democratic Party are like the centrists, okay, where they come across as like, and there are people that are to the left of Bernie and AOC within the Democratic Party, as you guys know, when it comes to foreign policy, for example. Like, if that does not happen, then we're cooked. We're completely cooked. I don't think AOC and Bernie are trying to sheepdog people, to be fair. I don't think that is like the classic take from Hammer Sickle Twitter, is the notion that like these people want to be a structural hurdle to a third party. They're not being genuine. They just want to like cut the progressive momentum, cut the wind from its sails, and like move them or redirect them back into the Democratic Party to fundraise for the Democrats. And I don't think that is the case. I think what they're trying to do is to showcase to the rest of the Democrats that there is broad popular momentum behind these kinds of initiatives, behind like advocating for change in a way that average neoliberal Dems will consider to be radical, but that radical change is actually not so radical. It's common sense, right? That's the Bernie meta. He's been saying that for years and years, and that's why he's so effective as a communicator, and that's why he's so popular. That's why he has broad popular momentum, as we've seen over and over again. And I think these rallies are not so much to bring people together and then immediately direct them to a point of action, but instead, at least in this phase, it's to show the Democrats, the rest of the Democrats, that like, if you do this, like you have to do stuff like this to basically change the structure of the party. Otherwise, it's cooked. Otherwise, you are cooked. Now, having said that, will that be successful? I don't think so. And I've been thinking quite a bit about what they could be doing more than what they're doing right now. And I think having issue focus in the organizing would possibly be a better idea for both AOC and Bernie Sanders. This is something I've talked about quite a bit. This is something I've thought about quite a bit. Because if they were issue specific in their rallies, in their organizing, I think that would be a little bit more that would be a little bit more impactful, right? What do I mean by this? Organize with a union directly outside of a work stoppage. Around the Mahmoud Khalil situation. Organize with teachers and do a rally specifically for teachers, like issue specific rallies. I think could perhaps be a little bit better to demonstrate messaging discipline. These are the types of things that they have done. Like Bernie has certainly done this many, many times over. Bernie used to do trips to Canada from Vermont. He would bring all these old people together, and they would literally go to Canada to get cheap pharmaceuticals. So Bernie is not a stranger to doing stuff like this, because it not only demonstrates messaging discipline, but it also shows like a very specific issue that has to change. And it also basically shows like not that far away, across the pond, across the invisible border right there, they have people that are doing it better in terms of pharmaceutical pricing. So it's a win-win-win. You're helping people. You're also getting your message across. You're showing real tangible results, and you're genuinely changing people's lives for the better in the process. It's a perfect idea. It's a perfect way to do it. And I think that they need to do a little bit more on that front. Perhaps they need to do a little bit more on that front. I think that would put a more positive spin, because I saw that even in the rally itself, these people are excited to hear Bernie. They're excited to hear AOC. They like Bernie Sanders. They like AOC. And even at the rally itself, there were people who were like, what should we do? Like, people kept saying, what can we do? What should we do? And I think that's important.
Becoming conscious.
Yeah. I think organizing is important, but I think we have to also mobilize on top of organizing. Because the reality of the matter is there's a lot of discontent for the Republicans, and there's a lot of discontent for the Democrats as well. There's a lot of anger and resentment towards the congressional Democrats as well. Here's Kaisa, who is a Hasanabi head who sometimes posts the kawaii memes, says, bro, I'm at a congressional town hall and people are heated and basically begging for leadership from Democrats and wondering why nothing on the news or social media represents them. Oh God, the congressperson said he believes in decorum. Someone said that's the problem. Yeah, people I think are angry. They're arriving at the position that people in this community have had for quite some time. Like, this is the anger, this is the frustration that I've had for years with the Democrats, right? Fight back against these Republicans. Actually follow through on an agenda that genuinely changes people's lives in a positive way. Demonstrate messaging discipline. Associate with like a select few legislative agenda items that are successful, popular, and keep repeating it over and over and over again. Hammer that point across, and then do everything you can to push that legislative agenda. Democrats have never done that, but people are finally waking up to the reality that the Democrats are not doing that, and they're very, very angry. I guess the example I will use is Zohran in New York. He's running for the New York mayoral race, and he has done a phenomenal job with this. Obviously, he's not getting enough media attention, enough mainstream media attention. And unfortunately, the New York mayoral race, much like every other goddamn race, is like hard locked by mainstream outlets. And when you don't when you don't get a lot of media attention, like the amount of like media attention and institutional like machine Democrats, the amount of power machine Democrats have, like Andrew Cuomo, where they could just like immediately organize a rally and bring in like a bunch of key unions is something that a lot of people don't recognize. Like fighting the good fight. You platforming Zohran can possibly get him in the race? No, I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to fly to New York because I don't want to do it over Discord. Like they want to link up over Discord. I don't want to link up over Discord. I want to do something in person. Like this is one of the few instances where he's been on CNN, but that's not enough. You know what I mean? What I'm talking about is machine politics. A lot of you guys are maybe even, no matter how knowledgeable you are about politics, you probably don't see a lot of the invisible ways in this, in the invisible ways in which machine politics works in New York, right? Michael from Pennsylvania can give you guys an even better inside look into this with Pennsylvania specifically. But like, I'll give you an example. I didn't really cover it, but like Andrew Cuomo was entertaining running in the New York mayoral race for quite some time. He kept saying, he kept dipping his toes in. He kept saying like, oh, I'm going to run. Will I run? Probably. You know, they would send out feelers. And every time they sent out feelers, the media would cover it. Because Andrew Cuomo is a person who is obviously very famous. Now, he was unceremoniously kicked out of his gubernatorial position for doing a metric ton of sexual harassment over the course of many, many years. But what's interesting about that was the first rally that he held. Do you want to know the first rally that Andrew Cuomo held after saying he was going to run for mayor? It was a Women for Cuomo rally, okay? These are the protesters that were outside of the Women for Cuomo rally, but that's the reality. He did he went and he did a Women for Cuomo rally. And he got a bunch of powerful women in New York to link up with him, okay? And then here's another thing that they did. Here's another thing that he did. They held another rally the next day with unions for Cuomo, right? To present himself as like pro-labor union. They went to that rally. A bunch of union rank and filers were at this rally, right? Turns out a bunch of smart labor reporters went in and asked them, like, what are you doing here? And they were like, I don't know. My union said that this was like a meetup. And I believe that they were giving benefits for attending it. And they had no idea that it was like a pro Cuomo rally. Yeah, it was the Carpenters Union Hall in New York. So like this is the type of stuff that Andrew Cuomo has the power to do. This is what I mean when I say machine politics works in incredibly nefarious ways, where if you were basically in charge of New York politics, that entire machine for quite a while, you have the opportunity to go to union leadership, find union leaders that are on board with your agenda because you'll give them some kind of legal kickback when you're in power once again. So you can just like call up favors and have those union leaders bring in rank and filers to do a photo op. All the while, the media carries on the message. Look, women are not that angry at Andrew Cuomo. Maybe he's just Italian and maybe he wasn't doing harassment to every woman that was in his vicinity, right? So this is how it works. This is how it works. This is a This is a machine run by vultures and lecherous perverts. And they have no interest in any of the issues that they advocate for. And people who do have a genuine interest in making change for the working class, those are the people that unfortunately get owned in the process. And Zohran is a perfect example of this. I don't think he will, right? I don't think he will get owned in this process, but like, it's always a hard fight. And when people ask about AOC, for example, like how does she sneak in? She snuck in. That's how she got the role. She was able to destroy the what is it, like the head of the Treasury, I think. He's like the third most powerful Democrat in Congress because he was in a safe district. He thought he was totally safe. He thought there was no way that he could get primaried. And that's precisely how AOC was able to win. That's precisely how the initially. Whoa, what? What the hell was that? What just happened? Did it F? It was a mini F? Okay. Anyway, just as Democrats were able to secure a bunch of W's in primaries all around the country because they were able to basically showcase, honestly, who they were at a time when people were obviously resentful of establishment party politics, but in a way where the Democratic Party was not expending resources. So the safer the seat, the bluer the district, the easier it is for a progressive person to actually undermine undermine the Democratic establishment candidate, no matter how safe they feel they are. But the more people focus their attention into these smaller races, the more money gets dumped into it, the more mainstream media focuses on these little races every now and then, the harder it gets for genuine progressive left candidates to win these races. And I think Zohran has a really big hill to climb in this regard. Does that make sense? It's not just about individual donors and fundraising, chatters. I'm telling you right now, okay? It's not about that. It's not about that at all. I don't think you understand how much play you get from earned media. How much play you get from earned media when MSNBC is talking about Andrew Cuomo every fucking day. CNN is talking about Andrew Cuomo every day. I don't think you get it. Like, mainstream media, especially in races like this, still matter quite a bit because most normies that would love Zohran's ideas, Zohran's opinions, like they're not going out and voting. A lot of people are not going to vote in the New York mayoral race. And the ones that do are just going to go for name recognition. Like a big chunk of people are just going to go for name recognition, the rank choice, and they're going to go, okay, I know Andrew Cuomo. Isn't he a sex pest? I don't know. Whatever. Boom. He's number one. Like that's usually how it works. He has all the energy. I'm not being defeatist at all. I think he has a good shot. I'm just simply explaining to you how hard it is for someone like Zohran to win a race like the New York mayoral race. Okay? That's precisely the reason why I want to link up with him and help him in any way I can. So that's where the situation is, and I think that there are also a lot of people that there's like spoilers on the ticket there for Zohran, just like there's spoilers. There's the Eric Adams Andrew Cuomo knife fight, which is good because it's like vote splitting there. And then there's also the Brad Lander Zohran kind of fight. And it seems like Greg Kazar actually, Greg Kazar went and endorsed Brad Lander for mayor. And Brad Lander, in other circumstances, would be fine, right? If Zohran wasn't in the race, then he's like a fine candidate in comparison to everybody else, okay? But with Zohran in the race, he is not fine, okay? Not only does he have no motion, but every progressive, in my opinion, should be pumping Zohran as hard as they possibly. I know ranked choice voting makes vote splitting less of an issue. Yes, I understand that. But there's still, you should still endorse and offer name recognition to the best of your ability to the top contender in this regard. And I think that like this is a major mistake. Going and endorsing Brad Lander is a major mistake. In my opinion, it's because Brad Lander is not anti-Israel and Zohran is. No, I know. The Israel stuff is like, I know a lot of people, I think, especially liberals, like the broader liberal movement does not think that like Palestine is all that prescient of an issue. But because it is at the intersection of so many glaringly obvious inequalities and so many forms of systemic oppression, whether it be Western imperialism, whether it be racism, whether it be Islamophobia, that I think a lot of people just like, a lot of people discount how important the issue is for so many different factors. Like the Democrats really need to drop this Israel shit, like this unconditional pro-Israel shit, especially at a time when Israel is not so popping, okay, for understandable reasons. Like it is very, very dumb and very, very short-sighted. And it is classic. It's classic Democratic Party cowardly behavior. Anyway, yo, you got so political, Hasanabi. I started watching you for your basketball skills and your cute dog. Yeah, sometimes I get a little political around these parts. Yeah, you already know what it is. So, union members were, oh yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. Union members were asked to attend a rally at Carpenter's headquarters to support our union without being told it was, in fact, a rally for Cuomo's campaign. Here's the text blast sent out to union members a few days ago. District Council 9, brothers and sisters, we are attending a rally event at Sunday, 3-2 at 10 a.m. This rally will count for the March VOC for painters and tapers. Come out and support your union. Please share this message and remember to bring your DC9 ID. Text stop to opt out. Like, they didn't even tell him that this was a fucking Cuomo rally. It's so gross. The other reason why I'm talking about Zohran is because I think he is doing all of the right things. He has a tremendous hurdle to clear here because it's a race that a lot of people are paying attention to because it's a race that has national significance. New York is a major city. Obviously, that's not the reason. That's not the only reason why this has national significance. There are a lot of players in this that are nationally known figureheads, whether it be Eric Adams or whether it be Andrew Cuomo. So that is the reason why Zohran not having a lot of the same instruments at his disposal in the way that, for example, Andrew Cuomo has. He has a major hurdle to clear here in a race that has a lot of players that have more name recognition than him. Obviously, this is in our circle. We know about him, right? Because he's been doing a great job. But not every single person in here lives in New York, right? In terms of like winning the mayoral race in New York, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people you got to talk to.
The city needs someone to lead it that is willing to fight the Trump administration, not collaborate with it in the manner of Eric Adams or that which Andrew Cuomo is running.
I think what the general public sees is a Democratic Party that is more interested in defending people like Mahmoud Khalil than they are victims of crime here in New York City, than they are Jewish students who have been subjected to vile anti-Semitism across these college campuses and universities, or than they did seeing Democrats refuse to stand for a 13-year-old boy who's suffering from cancer who was made a Secret Service agent. That's what the juxtaposition is right now. That's what the American people are seeing. And they're looking at it and they're going, these people are out of their minds.
Go
ahead.
Well, you know what I think also the New Yorkers are seeing is a Jewish student by the name of Grant Minor, who was the president of the United Auto Workers local on Columbia's campus that was just fired by Columbia administration for participating in those same protests. These are students that deserve their rights to be respected. These are ones that deserve to be recognized by those of us who aspire to be leaders across the city.
I got to leave it there.
I'm being so for real when I say this. I don't think a single Democratic voter or a single voter in New York in the mayoral race gives a shred of a fuck about whether or not congressional Democrats stood up and clapped for the 13-year-old cancer kid, okay? If you think that that is like what's going to win you favors in the New York mayoral race, like you are the most delusional person on the planet. I mean, this guy's got no motion anyway. A little bit like, it's so funny to be like, why don't they care about this kid? It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Yet another circumstance where it's like, if you ask the average person, if they're like podcast brain, maybe they fucking heard about it. But like, honestly, I don't think most normal people give a shit. Like, they have no idea what happened there. Okay. Jesus. All right. Anyway, here's another great moment from,
How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers without charge? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? When we asked Tom Homan, all he had to answer for that cruelty was a smirk. Because there is no answer for taking a man from his pregnant wife, who is due to deliver their newborn child in a month, from their Columbia University apartment, a day after that same man, Mahmoud Khalil, wrote to Columbia University and said he feared for his life. The cowardice that is on display across our city and our state is unacceptable. New Yorkers are looking to us. They are looking to their leaders for courage and for conviction. And what they are finding instead is collaboration. And that is just simply unacceptable. many more New Yorkers? How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers?
Why are we not seeing more Dems like this? I mean, you can't sit on your ass and collect checks if you do stuff like this. It's hard. You know, it's hard to do that. Democrats just don't really care about this stuff because why would they? Andrew Cuomo versus Zohran is a great analog for why Democrats don't do stuff like this, right? They don't do stuff like this because they're Andrew Cuomo. Why would they do that when they could just like call up the union leaders that and call in a favor from a sympathetic union leader to just like put together a silly ass union rank and filers for Cuomo campaign. Stop. And then that gets a lot of hits on Politico. Better question. Why should we risk losing a leader like this to the machine of the Democrats? I don't know how to answer your question because I don't know. Like, obviously, he's the one who's making this decision to put a D next to his name. I'm not going to sit around and be like, why are you associating yourself with the Democratic Party? The reason why is because, especially if you don't have name recognition, because Zohran doesn't have any name recognition, you have to use the well-established Democrat name in a well-established Democrat enclave like New York City. That's probably the reason why. You know, I'm sure people have other opinions on the matter, but it is what it is. There's a reason why the Working Families Party, which is a relatively strong party in New York state politics, still collaborates and operates within the confines of the Democratic Party. I don't care what gets him across the finish line, as long as he gets across the finish line. Does that make sense? That's the play here. But yeah, have you thought about interviewing him? Yes, I'm working on setting something up. Don't worry. But as you guys asked me, like, who's doing a good job of like putting up a strong fight, simultaneously galvanizing voters and making it issue specific, Zohran is doing a great job on that front.